The purpose of this project is to conduct a study of significant research in both the science of teaching reading and teaching for biliteracy. Using the Texas Academic Accountability Performance Reporting, an analysis will be made of the performance of emergent bilinguals who receive instruction using the methodologies of the science of reading by being placed in English language courses with ESL supports, as compared to emergent bilinguals who receive instruction through Teaching for Biliteracy as a result of their placement in transitional bilingual and dual language programs. This comparison of data is expected to show that students who receive instruction through Teaching for Biliteracy outperform their bilingual peers who don't have exposure to a biliteracy instructional framework. The science of reading. In 1986, Gowan Tumner presented the theory of the simple view of reading. In the simple view of reading, comprehension is the product of decoding and language comprehension, Hasbrouck, 2019. In other words, children learn to read when they can phonetically decode while making connections to vocabulary they already know. In the year 2000, the National Reading Panel published a report explaining that teaching reading is a pedagogy based on 5 basic components: phonemic awareness, phonics, instruction, fluency, vocabulary, and text comprehension. NCHHD 2000. A year later, in 2001, American psychologist and literacy expert Hollis Scarborough created the famous reading rope, which illustrates the components of word recognition and language comprehension in greater detail. Current literacy programs in the United States continue to align with the National Reading Panel's 2000 report, NCHHD 2000. One current, nationally reputable program in particular is the RISE Arkansas Science of Reading. Their reading initiative for student success is in accordance with the science of reading components of phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. State of Arkansas, 2023. The Science of Reading in the Texas Administrative Code TEKS, English Language Arts and Reading. The TEKS for English Language Arts and Reading includes 7 strands for integrated instruction in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Starting with the elementary level, there are 13 vertically aligned standards that increase in depth and complexity through each grade K-12. TEA 2022. The Science of Reading core competencies of phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension comprise 5 of the 13 standards at the elementary level. Beginning in 6th grade, phonemic awareness and phonics no longer appear, leaving vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension through the middle school years. By 9th grade, fluency no longer appears. Vocabulary and comprehension continue through the highest level high school course of English Language Arts and Reading, English 4, TEA 2022. Teaching for Biliteracy. The following section of Teaching for Biliteracy will be based on the landmark publication Biliteracy from the Start, Literacy Squared in Action, Escamilla et al., 2014. In their work, which has a formidable influence on shaping bilingual and dual language education, they explain that biliteracy is learning to read and write in 2 languages at the same time. According to the Literacy Squared framework that they set forth, the components of biliteracy are oracy, reading, writing, and metalanguage. Oracy is the language we use for speaking. Oracy includes language structures, vocabulary, and dialogue. In reading, paired literacy allows for bidirectional transfer between languages. In biliterate writing, we see translanguaging, code switching, and linguistic elements from one language to the other. And finally, metalanguage is thinking about language and making cross-linguistic connections. Too often within U.S. bilingual and dual language classrooms, Spanish literacy instruction is modeled on English literacy instruction with little or no attention to how literacy practices and development in Spanish differ from those in English. Escamilla et al. 2014, page 7. While the two languages have much in common, they are also different in many ways. The methods and strategies used for literacy instruction in each distinct language need to be authentic to that specific language. The Texas Administrative Code accounts for these differences. The first sentence in all Spanish language arts and reading TEKS grade K-6 begin, "The Spanish language arts and reading Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills TEKS reflect language arts standards that are authentic to the Spanish language and Spanish literacy. They are neither translations nor modifications of the English language arts TEKS." TEA 2022. Performance data. Using the Texas Academic Accountability Performance Reporting, I analyzed the performance of emergent bilinguals who receive instruction using the methodologies of the science of reading by being placed in English language courses with ESL supports, as compared to emergent bilinguals who receive instruction through Teaching for Biliteracy as a result of their placement in transitional bilingual and dual language programs. In the 2021-2022 Bilingual Education English as a Second Language State Report, it can be seen that total bilingual education for all grades and all subjects outperform total ESL students in every performance level. And the trend continues in English language arts and reading, which is specifically what I'm looking at for literacy. In 2022 and 2021, for all performance levels, the total bilingual education students outperformed their ESL peers who are placed in monolingual classes with English language supports. These bilingual education students include bilingual education transitional early exit, transitional late exit, dual language two-way, and dual language one-way. And in all cases of the bilingual education and ESL performance, they are all below the state passing for all students in all grades and subjects, and also in language arts and reading. It's interesting to notice, however, that at the very right column, the students who have left bilingual status or limited English proficient, they have been exited from the program, and they are either monitored or former emergent bilinguals or ESL students, score at a very high rate compared to the state average. And in every reporting category, at all levels, they have surpassed the state average. So the students who exit bilingual education, who were former bilingual students, be it in bilingual education or in ESL, highly outperform the state average of all students in the state of Texas. The same trend can be seen for the previous year, 2020, 2021. And the trend can be seen as well the year before that in 2018, 2019. This comparison of data shows that students who receive instruction through Teaching for Biliteracy consistently outperform their bilingual peers who don't have exposure to a biliteracy instructional framework. Conclusion. It's challenging to estimate how many ELs in bilingual education in Texas are receiving instruction through the framework of Teaching for Biliteracy. At the bare minimum, however, these students would be enrolled in Spanish language arts and reading K-6 as a result of their placement in bilingual education. One could argue that, at the very least, by being exposed to content in 2 languages, these students would be exposed to culturally relevant texts, make cross-linguistic connections, use their entire linguistic repertoires, translanguage, and experience ample opportunities to develop their biliteracy and bilingualism. This study has shown that English language learners in bilingual education programs outperform their peers in ESL programs. This supports the body of evidence that teaching for biliteracy and all that it entails is effective in supporting the reading achievement of emergent bilinguals. Because dual language programs are taught in 2 languages, students can benefit from first language development, grouping techniques that are unique to a bilingual classroom, translanguaging, and biliteracy. These special circumstances give bilingual education students advantages over ELs in mainstream and ESL classes because the bilingual education student, in learning content through 2 languages, attains content mastery while at the same time develops the skills of cross-language transfer and metacognition.